apparently feelings come from thoughts. So you listen to a song, you have a thought, and then a feeling comes. That is literally the cycle.
That's the interesting thing about life. We could literally watch the exact same thing and see something different. If I go out and I randomly bump into somebody and we have a deep talk, I feel so refreshed. Like,
It's
I'm like,
refreshing.
hell yeah,
That
dude.
is the perfect word.
I don't want to tell no one what to do, and I don't want anyone to tell me what to do because he identified as a cat.
No fucking way. And it's strong moral value parents, and it's getting to the point where it's like everything's okay.
Yeah, it's insanity. I'm so happy that we have a chance to sit down and talk.
I know, finally. Yeah, the topic about men is intriguing, honestly, because,
Yeah,
it's all over the place.
We could totally dive into that.
They're everywhere we look, really.
Dude, everywhere and nowhere.
Seriously. Ain't that true?
Oh my God, your phone is listening to us. What the hell? Siri's going off.
It's 2025. Like, are you surprised? Next thing you know, I'm going to unlock it and there's going to be a guy popped up on the Safari page or something. Like,
nearby. Jacob.
oh, yeah, exactly. Literally.
So, geez, my throat right now. You got to be careful with the police officers.
Wait, tell me, because he just got hired there, but he was in Cape May for a couple of years as a cop, and he moved up here. Why do we have to be careful of the police officers? Because you're not the only person to tell me that.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's a stereotype. I don't know if it's a I don't know if stigma is the right word. One of those things where people don't get over these because they got hurt by one of these people in the past. Because, girls are like, oh, that's hot. I want a guy that's a cop or a firefighter or any of these fields, lawyer, stuff that people their job is to protect. Right, whether it's
I love me some safety.
Yeah, it's attractive, it's manly, and we kind of like praise that. We're like, oh, he does this. Your family, like, oh, that's good.
Because
he has a good job.
Position of power.
Exactly. So you kind of get, and generally they have good benefits and all these things. So like people look at it as like, oh, that's very good. But then you hear all these terrible stories. So like, for example, they could abuse their power. So they could, because they're in a position of power every day, 9 to 5 or whatever their hours are, they might take it home and take it out and treat you the same way.
Yeah,
and that's
gotta be careful.
That's where I've heard stories have gone. So that's the only reason why I said you got to be careful, because some people that I've heard, oh, he's a cop and he beat me, or he stalked me, or he wouldn't leave when I told him to leave, or shit like that.
Shit.
And the guy that I thought was, oh, he's a firefighter, he's a first responder,
the one
trained,
in Tennessee.
The one in Tennessee. And my mom's like, that's great, oh my God. And even he said, tell your mom, like, if somebody is a firefighter, like, they're passionate about helping people, and they enjoy the adrenaline of running into fire. Like, that means, like, they're not looking to be a murderer. Because I was like, yeah, my mom thinks like me coming here, I'm gonna get murdered. And he was like, no, like, anyone who's a firefighter you should be able to trust. And I'm like, yeah, 100%.
That's what someone who is literally a narcissist says, though. You gotta trust me. It's like, that shit is earned.
True.
It's earned. You don't just trust.
Yeah, and we gotta remember that. Keep that front center in our minds, because not to take the whole thing. I want to hear about this cop is just is just that it happened to me. I said, that sounds like a really nice guy, and then it just turned out where you could just go cold shoulder and be like, get out at 1 a.m. and it's
not
like,
right.
It's like, I'm drunk, I have nowhere to go. Okay, you're gonna just send this girl in an Uber and just have her figure it out. It's like, it just seemed ridiculous.
No, that actually seems like it's so far out there, but it's actually reality.
It's like he didn't name kids. Like, what are you doing?
No, that is love bomber. That is future faking. Those are all the red flags. I don't know if he did that on the phone with you or not.
I actually said before this happened that I didn't think I ever been love bombed. Like, no one's ever talked like deep like that to me, and I think that's why I fell for it.
I think it was only a few months, though. Could have been years.
No, and this is like the communication style.
It should
These
be
are all
easy.
first like new relationship boring conversations that you have to have. Like, you know, it's like
Yes.
after that's like I feel like why people get scared and they run away because it's like, oh, she wants me to communicate better, or like she wants to talk about communication, she wants to talk about all this stuff, and it's like, okay, just for a solid foundation of where we're at,
Yes.
then we will have a freestyle relationship. Like, I don't want to be clingy. I don't want to be this
Controlling.
Yeah.
It's not about control. It's not about clingy. It's just expressing what you like, what's important to you. And
Yeah.
like someone who wants a commitment will do that
And it's a
easily.
simple-
It should be easy.
Yeah, and it should be a known thing, but I think girls are better at this, and that's just like universally known, but that are, you know, better communicators. But we just want to set it straight. One or two couple good conversations about it. Then you can say, I said it, you are aware, you said it, I'm aware, and we don't have to talk about this every day, you know, because
Yeah.
that's draining and boring, and no one needs to be talked to like every day like that. But that's something that is super important, and I feel like guys just don't want to have that conversation if they're not ready, or they don't like you enough. You know what I mean?
Ready.
Yeah.
Ready is the perfect word. Ready. It should be easy to communicate, and like that's where if you set the bar, like the bare minimum should be the communication on like what we kind of like to be freely open to talk about anything, and like not take it as an attack, not get defensive, not try to change the other person. If all of that is there and you're expressing yourself, like that should be the bare minimum, and any guy who can't meet that, next. Because
Yeah.
then they're not mature enough personally.
Yeah, and then nothing is
It's all up in the air. And
yeah, it's like if you go on a trip with a friend and like we never communicated about what we're gonna do.
Right.
Your idea of the trip is gonna be completely different than mine.
Right.
You're gonna think we're going to Africa and backpacking, and I'm gonna think we're going to a luxury 5-star or something. You know what I mean? And then
Fucking
we're both
facts.
gonna show up, and one person's gonna be extremely disappointed.
You're so right.
Like,
And we're gonna end
that
up
is
and be
why
like,
you need to communicate.
it should be easy. It
And
should be like
that's
your
it.
best friend.
Yeah,
No
100%.
pressure. Nothing. none of that.
I'm so like Julia. I always think about it. I'm like, I want to settle when that is met. Like, it's best friend vibes. Where
It should
then
be
it
best
gets
friend
because then
vibes.
like it takes time. You know, it's not a fairy tale world. The guy you just met is not going to know what you're thinking. Is not going to be able to pick up on your energy with no words. You know, you're going to have to tell him like, hey, I'm upset today. You can't just sit there with a pouty face and knowing this person's going to know you're upset. That's something that comes with years of being together. But like, and I know that. But the point is I want to be with someone that I can get there with. Like, I want it to be
Yeah.
that best friend vibe where if we're at a party, and it's a family party, and we're both looking at each other, we know right away, like, one person's ready to go without saying a word because you just know each other. And, or someone says something and you can look at the partner and be like, that just pissed off my partner. But we're going to
Yes.
talk about this after we leave because we're on that communication style. You know, we know not to talk about it here or whatever the case it may be. Like, I know that comes later. But the other shit of like setting dates and the simple shit of first stage relationship, and if that's not hitting it, it's just, what are we doing?
Waste of time. You know, to be able to express your past and the person accept you completely, because judgment is what tears a relationship apart. Judgment and
Totally.
disrespect. If you're going to judge someone, like, you know, they don't feel safe, period.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, why are you doing it that way or this or that? It's like the criticizing and the judgment destroy someone.
Then you're not accepting them and loving them unconditionally and fully. Totally. I could totally agree. That's a
Yeah.
big thing.
The judgment is big.
And that's when lies come into play.
yes, because I feel judged now, I'm going to fib because
Yep.
I don't want to fight for 3 days.
Yeah. And that's such a fake relationship.
So fucking fake.
Go through life, they say, with no judgment. You know, you could walk into a room and you're not like, I'm judging this, I'm judging that. Just walk into the fucking room, dude.
Holy shit, yeah.
You know what I mean? But sometimes you have to be. Like, if you see somebody who, it's almost like don't judge right away. Like, you know, let it be for a second. But if somebody, like my exes, if somebody is drinking every fucking day,
like, oh,
judge them a
normal.
little bit and be like, okay, Heidi, do you really think, like, let's look at this situation. Like, I'm going to be a little judgmental and think that this person is not going to, not proceed to be a better person. They're probably just going to stay where they are. Like, I don't think they're going to progress into this person that I'm hoping in my mind that they
and
their
that's what we
potential.
can't
That's
do.
the word.
And that is the thing that women do. They see the potential in a man. And like, you have to literally see the person for who they are deep inside rather than anything on superficial. And then not try to change the other person to fit what we want.
It's like,
You're
no.
confined and you're like,
You gotta accept. You 100%. It's almost like even as individuals, we have to accept ourselves. And that was the thing too. I mean, I've been there too. Like, I definitely didn't accept, honestly, the two guys I ever dated. Like, I don't think I accepted them fully, which is meaning I don't think I ever loved them, because I don't think you can love someone unless you accept them fully. Like,
wait,
I think that's
so true.
I think that's like a real thing. But like, if you know what I mean, like, it's almost like family. Like, I accept my mom for who she is. I could confidently say that. I accept my dad. I accept my brothers for who they are, and I know 100% I love them. Like, you know, there's not everything. There's so many things wrong with them, but like, I don't look at that and like judge them for it. It's just because I accepted them a long time ago and I've loved them my whole life. So it's that deep of a connection that you should find.
Have you ever been on the other end where you didn't like? It's cool that you can say though, Heidi, that like the last two people, like, you didn't accept them fully, was insecure that I would project my like perfection onto someone else.
Yeah, kinda. I was also just kind of looking at it in like a superficial way. Like, I would look at other relationships and other guys, and I would be like, oh, like, I wish my man had better hair. Like, I didn't accept him for like things he couldn't even change. Like, you know what I mean?
Understand.
Like, I didn't love him for who he was. Like, this person, you know, who, you know what I mean? Like, might have had like not like a perfect face, you know what I mean? Like, I should have just never been with them, because that's not fair. Like, I would like look at other people and kind of say like, oh man, like, and that's how I knew too. I remember I was like one of the first in the beginning. Yeah, I thought they were like the hottest thing and I liked them and whatever, but then I slowly looked inward and I was like, why am I looking at other people, you know what I mean? And then even if it wasn't just because that's so superficial, but like, but you like what you like, and then even if it was something else, like, their man could build something, or like their man, you know, has money in the bank and knows how to save. Like, that to me is something that I want my man to do. And I would be like, you know, one of those girls that would be like, come on, like, you know, save your money and invest your money and like do better. And then, you know, you can only say it so many times before you're nagging and they like hate it, and they'll even eventually got to the point where it would like lie about where their money is and how much money they had, because they're just spending it all and had $0 to save. And then as a person with logic, I'm like, I can't be with someone who makes like almost six figures, decent amount of money, and doesn't have $1 saved. That's insane to me.
No, that's crazy. That's why you have to see where they're at and like not change that later. Like, make sure that they're the type to save their money right away.
That's why I was an immature me. It was all me. Like, I just shouldn't have been with those people. But I had and this is something that I think we all go through. We all have those first couple of relationships where before you realize you can't change someone. Like, a lot of girls, like, you know, we get and people, I'm sure, get their first couple of relationships. It's new. They're just happy to be in love or whatever. Get these whole, I'm holding hands, I'm taking pictures with my man. Like, you know, they're happy. They're in this state of lust maybe. And then, but for me, I was forgetting what I was going to say.
You were talking about something about like the potential of a man and their money.
Oh, right. Thanks. Yeah. Like, us women, we in our first couple of relationships, I feel like we fall into this trap of I could fix them and they could do better if they're with me, and all these like thoughts. And I see their potential if they just listen to me, and, or, you know, if they just take my advice.
Holy shit.
Do this, go work out, you know, save the money, put the money here. Like, instead of hanging out with this friend, don't hang out with that friend. Like, you see where they're messing up and you want to fix them. But it's like, first of all, you're wasting like talking to yourself, it's like you're wasting your own energy. And
Absolutely.
who the fuck are you to tell anyone what to do? Like, I learned that really quickly once I got out of those relationships because it was exhausting. I don't want to tell someone what to do. I want to be in love and I want to be treated well, and I want it to be reciprocated both ways. I want it to be
feel free, right?
Yeah, feel free, feel like they got me. I don't even have to worry. I don't have to question them, but they got me financially, physically, and I got them in the same way. Nurturing, whatever the dynamic is, it's just they don't have to worry about me, and their needs are met, and I don't have to worry about them because my needs are met. Without pointing bigger fingers and telling them,
do something different.
Yeah, that's exhausting because
be different.
We're our own people. I have to feed myself. I have to take care of my own needs. We all are individuals. There's like, you can't put all this time into another person. And then that just means you're back to what we were saying. You're not accepting them for who they are. And that's not cool either, because somebody might accept them for who they are.
Absolutely. It's so true.
That doesn't need as much as you.
It's not fair.
Want to hear, I thought this was cool. So, because life is like a circle, like a full circle sometimes, right? Like you go through, so for an example, I went to Nashville, had this shitty date, had this shitty weekend, upset.
Oh, I can't believe that happened.
Go to a bar, sit there, and
that night or a different time?
Well, the next day.
Okay.
The next day, and I'm sitting there on my phone, and I go and I look to find like something to do. So I went to Dice, and I found, which is like an EDM where you could buy like tickets, see who's around. So I put my location there, and I found because I was just over the country music. Like, after so long. It was nice. I'm not even going to lie. I was like, I'm, like, heartbroken in the country where everything's about love stories and just, like, like, having a family. And I'm like, ah!
Seriously.
Like, but it was nice. It was almost like, when you're sad and you want to listen to sad music because you just, that's it.
100%.
But then I had to get out of that state. So I'm, like, sitting there and I look at Dice and I find a EDM show that's literally an hour from that moment I looked it up. And I go, this is amazing. It was $33. I bought the ticket, get an Uber, go to the show. And funny story is I was belligerent. Like I was drinking like Sauvignon Blanc from like 11 in the morning till 8 at night. So I was just like in the same bar stool sitting there just drinking, like listening to this country music. Like 2 girls came up to me and they're like, "Are you okay?" Like bought me drinks. Yeah.
Way.
But like it was like such a moment. And but I wasn't even embarrassed. I just had to do it. It was just, whatever. So that doesn't matter. But so I'm wasted when I get out of my Uber at this concert, and I stumble out of the Uber, of course. And the guy looks at me.
This is hilarious.
It was funny now looking back. He looks at me and he goes, and I'm like, "No, sir, I need to come in. Like, I will tell you right now, you can take my card. I will not buy a single drink." I had to like get serious, like he was a cop. I looked at him and I was like, "You have no idea what I went through last night. All I need is house music." I said, "I will stand by a security person inside. I won't buy a drink." I was like, "I literally will." He was like, stand there. He was like, "You're fucked up. Like, you can't go in." So then he goes, like, stand to the side, takes me out of the line, and he was like, "I need my manager to come over to like give an okay." So the manager comes over, and of course he's like a younger guy. So I like look him dead in the eye. I'm like batting my eyes, and I'm like, "I swear," I said, "I had a long night." I said, "Have you ever had a moment?" And I just like made him feel for me. I was like, "I got broken up with." I made it dramatic. I was like, "I got broken up with."
We all, I agree.
Yeah, and I was just like, "Please, I just need to go in. Like, you have no idea. I've just made this whole story." And he was like, "Okay, but if I see you buy one drink or sip anything, you're getting kicked out." And I said, "No problem." So I went in, and it was really funny.
And you behaved.
Yeah, I didn't even want to drink anymore. I knew, now I'm at a club. Like, you do have to be more careful. And I was already tipsy, well, more than tipsy. And I didn't fall out on purpose. It was generally a curb. Like, it just looked bad because I was drunk. And so, as everyone would say, so I go in this club and I'm dancing and I feel free. For some reason, like house music just makes me feel
different,
so
doesn't it?
good. And
Stop
there's like
it.
less lyrics, or if there is lyrics, it's very like positive and like life goes on kind of vibe. So like let go kind of energy. So I was feeling like I was on another planet, like nothing just happened to me. I just felt so good. Me moment, you know, like I'm dancing for me. I don't give a fuck who's looking at me, whatever. It made sense because it was one of those things where like I was at a really low spot and I randomly went to this thing and this person saw me for who I am, like zero judgment because I'm dancing like a nutcase.
I see what you're saying exactly.
Basically said everything that like I know is true about me. But this person that told me to fuck off saw zero about me, and he knew me essentially, or was
I can
talking
relate
to me
in
for
this year.
5-6 months.
I get
That's
you.
what, and it took 5-6 hours for this other individual to seriously, like the things he say, like
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I see. And like, what do you think about? Like, I want to see what you think about what I listen to.
Yeah.
So like, I like acoustic.
Yeah.
Guitar.
Right.
All the time.
Right.
I like sad love songs. I love emotion in songs, right? So much emotion in songs. Like, I melt.
Like a story. And I love that shit too.
Yes, but also dubstep when I'm running.
Yeah.
But then, like,
gets you fucking pumped.
The house, like, you know.
Cleaning and doing silly things. I like it.
Like, all of it. I'm definitely not either extreme.
Me too. Music literally makes you feel things because it's a frequency.
Facts. And then it's you know, you put on a song and apparently feelings come from thoughts. So you listen to a song, you have a thought, and then a feeling comes. That is literally the cycle. Thought, feeling follows. Thought, feeling constantly. So it's like you see something, you think something, you feel something.
Wow.
So it's like however your thoughts are is what your frequency, I think, is going to be also.
Yeah.
This might be a bit of a, like, out there, but what do you think about if me and you put on one song, but you know how, like, feelings, so you have a thought and then a feeling comes, right? And then that's sort of the energy you're putting out there. And then you're going to attract the same person or people in your life that are sort of at the same frequency you're at. So what happens if I put on a song but we feel something different to that song? Like if I'm putting on, like, I don't know, like I don't know, I don't know, like
I think it's just interpretation and perception. It's like like your experiences are different than my experiences, and that was something that I heard in a podcast. You know, we could both watch something. That's the interesting thing about life. We could literally watch the exact same thing and see something different.
Yes.
Or you interpret it differently. Like if it's somebody putting something in the mailbox, I'm going to be like, that person looks like they're sending a love note. And you might be like, that person looks like they're putting a divorce paper in the mail. Like you're right. You know what I mean? But we watch the exact same thing. It's just perception.
What I'm saying is,
and no one knows anything. Like
I'm just a person, just like that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like to be able to talk about these topics freely, and we literally dig, and it's so deep that I'm like,
good.
This is crazy because we've really only hung out 3 times. We've talked on the phone like 4 or 5 times.
Dude, that's fine because
it's so deep, Heidi.
It's just I think it's just who he is as a person, who you are as a person. Like I think you can have a deep conversation with somebody you're just buying a muffin from at the front counter. Like, and that's how I am too. Like,
yeah.
I don't think we're very small talk kind of people unless it's something like thank you, whatever. But like when I bartended all the time, the conversations I would have were very different than the other girls who were bartending. Like people would talk to me about their fucking crazy shit because I would either get there with them. I would share something deep. You know what I mean? Like it's up to you. So since it sounds like he's being very open with you and he's being
deep.
very deep, you're also going to be very deep, and then you guys are going to get there quicker. And I think that's awesome because for some, like even like a stranger, like that's my best kind of nights, dude. If I go out and I randomly bump into somebody and we have a deep talk, I feel so refreshed. Like
it's
I'm like,
refreshing.
Hell yeah,
that
dude.
That is the perfect word.
There is somebody out there that like I don't even need to know their fucking last name. And we just had a bomb ass conversation. And that was honestly like back to what you're saying. It's not like you don't want to compare, but I would do that too. I'd be like, I just went out with my friends and I had this crazy deep conversation with this person, or when I was bartending with these people, I don't even talk about this with my man. Like that to me is weird. But then what it comes down to is him as a person wasn't deep. He didn't have
the capacity.
He didn't have the mindset not even the interest to learn it. Like, I would almost be like, hey, you should read this book, back to like, oh, trying to change them. You know, you should read this book about the mind because you don't know shit about the mind, you know, because you're so flatlined. So we never had deep talks. He didn't like to look at the stars and think about what else could be out, you know, like stupid things. But
You're
also
right.
things,
You're right. And you can call Ready. I know that I can call you and I could just talk about any topic.
Right.
And that's what it should feel like with your partner that you choose. You should be like, even if it sounds completely on outer space.
Yeah, because that's but that is like an individual thing, you know. Like, he just sounds like someone who's a cool individual who, you know, likes that stuff and been this way his probably whole life. You know what I mean? Through his own life experiences, it seems. This is a big thing too, like that this one guy on Instagram was saying, is like the reason why you don't want to do, he always says like 2 dates a week max.
Yeah.
And if anything, one for the first like couple months, and also like give it like 2 months or 4 months to like really see who they are, because like if a long period of time, like basically back to what you were saying with like the not answering couple days of texting, if you don't hear from them for a long period of time, and like it's almost like one of those things, like sit back and see what they do on their free time. You know, you don't have to text every day to know that, but once you catch up finally and says, oh, what'd you do those 7 days? And it's like you find that stuff out. You just want to kind of be mindful of that and just kind of say like, is this like the behavior?
That's the thing. The first instinct is to judge, but I'm on Reddit and Facebook all the time because sometimes it's hard for me to be in the real world.
Yeah.
Because I just want to escape. So I go right to the phone. So, like, me judging someone based on I mean, it's different, of course. There's levels to stuff. Like, someone who's always on the phone, unattractive, period.
Right.
Someone who's always playing video games, you know, that's all bad.
Like,
but
losing sleep, eating, not even going to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's kind of bad.
Not having a job. Like, yeah, no. This sounds healthy. I don't think that it's like a bad use of video games.
No. But that's why it's important to talk about it.
Guys. No, it is. And it's so many guys play. And like, for example, my brothers play, and they're like, if I know them and I know what they do, and like they have successful relationships, and it doesn't get in the way of anything.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And Brianne's mom told me one time, I just hate how much, you know, so-and-so watches TV. Like, it bothers me. And this was a long time ago. And she goes, Brianne's mom goes, Julia, why are you going to judge someone's coping mechanism? And I go, shit, like, you're fucking right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it just comes down to, like, how like healthy could it, you know, and like if it's affecting the relationship, like that's just really what would be the next thing. Like, don't make it a deal breaker, don't whatever, but it's one of those things where, okay, well, if I asked you, you know, it's been a week and you know you were supposed to do something for me and it's not done, but you're playing video games every day telling me you don't have time, that's you telling me that I'm not,
that's more important
than me. That's different. And that's when relationships and marriages fail and like people become, but it could be anything. Like, it doesn't even just have to be video games. Like, I've heard crazy scenarios where like, you know, they say like people who golf, like for instance, like that's like I wouldn't judge anyone who golfs, but like I've heard people like ending relationships over like shit like that. Cause it's like, oh, they'll wake up and go golfing, but when it's time to wake up and go do something with me, they're never ready, this and that. Like, it's almost like they just don't care enough.
A chore rather than.
But they'll be up and they'll go with that. And it kind of makes you feel like shit, but that's them. That's like a characteristic problem. Like, hey, why can you do it for something you like, but not for me? That's insulting to me. So like that's when you can judge it, I think.
Yeah, and it's also like you see people's habits, like you said, like how they spend their free time is very important, and it's also at the same time like looking past some things. This is what I think. I could be wrong, but how I'm like, okay, I hear video games, and like instantly I like become like on guard, right? And I'm like, but then I go, look at my cell phone habits,
right? Not healthy. That's why, yeah.
And it's like, wow, I'm projecting judgment onto somebody when I have really addictive. And this is why it's important to talk about this out loud with a girlfriend, because it's like, it makes you see yourself and like talk and like put things into perspective that like, wow, I'm judging someone, you know, briefly for using video games, but like he doesn't have social media. I'm on social media all the time.
Right.
And it's like just the irony there.
Right.
Like the projection. And it's like, whoa, like we constantly are doing that. For me to sit there and judge someone for always being on their phone, yeah, they're with me and like it's taking them away from me. And it's sort of like I find it rude or whatever. But at the same time, like if that's their comfort spot, like if that's their need to escape reality because, you know, they're avoiding feelings or reality because of something traumatic has happened, it's like that's their coping thing. And it's like, whatever. If they use their phone 24/7, whatever, like I still like who they are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to tell them what to do. Back to like the whole thing. Like I can't tell anybody what to do. I don't want even friendships where I have to tell people what to do. Like that shit is so immature, honestly. It's just, it's draining. It's just terrible. It's taxing. Shit's fucking annoying. I don't want to tell no one what to do, and I don't want anyone to tell me what to do.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I want it to be where it's just straight up passion and like you're just inspired. Like this was one of the things that I do realize when I'm talking to somebody that I like. Just knowing that I'm going to see this person makes me a better person. Like, that's something I do like when I'm with someone. I'm like, I'm going to see them next week. So this whole week, like, I'm going to grind. Like, I'm going to make sure I sleep good. Like, you know what I mean? You kind of
take care of yourself.
You kind of are just inspired by being with someone. Like, it's not, they're not telling me, oh, you should eat better and lose weight. They're not telling me anything like that. It's just stuff like that. And that's what I like. I never had it because every guy I've been with, they don't give a fuck to better themselves. But I want to be with someone who also gets motivated, like, oh shit, like almost like that, like couple that's just a fucking power couple. Like literally, I'm not gonna go out there and say like that's the only thing I'll settle for. But I do want it to be where I'm working on bettering myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and they are too, without telling
pushing
each other
or forcing.
Yeah, that's just who. That's
even
just their life. That's just their life course already, and then my life course is mine, and then we meet. Because that's one of the things too is you gotta. They say like you attract what you are. So like if you're running at like a solid 4 and your energy is a solid 0. Why are you looking for someone who is a fucking 10? You know what I mean?
It's still not possible.
It's not, there's always going to be this dynamic where someone's feeling judged or someone's feeling insecure because the other one is doing better or whatever. Like, I just don't see how that shit works. It does. Like, I've seen people who, like one person is overweight and one person's in shape and one person likes the gym and one person doesn't, and they've been in love and they seem to have a healthy relationship, but like, and one of the people
there's an imbalance.
But I think there's an imbalance, and there's definitely probably like some low key like
insecurities
wants, not my business, but it's like one of those things where I 100% want a person who cares about the same shit I care about when it comes to like emotional and physical. Like you need to go to the gym. Like you need to be physically interested. You know what I mean? Like
I know, and then it can also
care
rub
about
off.
The shit. It totally rubs off.
It's like say like you're like hanging out with people like it and how they're eating. It makes you eat better too. Like it's like it rubs off when you surround yourself with people who are mindful. Yeah. Because then you don't really know any different.
That's like that circle like theory, like like the people in your closest circle is like who you're most likely to become. Yeah. And they say the easiest.
It's so true. You're like a mix of everyone you hang out with.
Yeah. The easiest way to break a habit or gain a habit is like based on like putting yourself around the people. Like if it's like a new habit, like you want to run more, go hang out with people who run. Right. You know what I mean? If you want to stop partying, don't hang out with the people who party. That will break that habit. So it's like put yourself in the environment where you want to what of a habit that you want to pick up, if it's adding a new habit or get rid of. You take yourself out of that environment. They say stuff like that is like a really quick and easy way to either gain or lose a habit. And it's totally that's why they say you're a drug addict. Don't hang out in the same town you used to buy drugs in. Like you cannot be in that environment anymore. 100%. It's just, it's honestly fucking proven. These people that go back to the same place when they got to rehab, they'll relapse because they know they have these triggers and all this shit. It's the same way with like a simple habit of going to the gym more, like you said, like being around someone who eats good is going to make you eat good. And then I also look at it when we have kids. I'm not like, I almost said the name, but I don't want to put it on here. But like, one of my friends like has to argue with the spouse, the baby daddy, like what to feed the kid because he doesn't give a shit. So he'll feed the kid all this processed shit, and it's like, you know, I get it. Like at a younger age, you can have shitty food, like, you know, sometimes
more often than an adult,
right? But you do need to make sure the kid is getting nutrients, like. And honestly, I want
because that's what their cells are developing into.
Yeah,
like what you're feeding your cells. Is what your body's gonna be like.
Yeah, and even goes down to like someone who puts their fucking sperm in you, and then when I'm pregnant, what I eat, like you gotta care about these things. And I would want like the moments where I'm feeling weak of like, oh, I just want to eat like shit. Them being like, no, it's not good for the baby. Like talk me out of it, because it's like that's just empowering. Good. You know, like you need to pick your life partner in moments like that. Like, you know, when shit gets really hard or really bad or really serious, like you want to make sure your partner is like
not going to let you go off the rails.
Right. Like always looking for your best interests. Like that's why it's so important for who you get involved with.
This is deep because that is so true.
So important.
I didn't even think of it like that. That is actually crazy.
Yeah. Like when someone dies, let's say, do you want to be with somebody who's going to make you feel worse or have no feeling towards it, you know, and disassociate because they don't know how to deal with their feelings? Or do you want to be with someone who's maybe can just sit in silence with you, or like they know your love language, which is just like sit with me, or, you know, take my mind off of it or whatever. You know that this person's got you in the hardest of times, like sickness or death. Like you want to make sure that you're with the right person so you're fucking taken care of. I would never ask the person I was with
about their sexual.
The best fuck you ever had, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I would never ask that because first of all, their answer is either going to be a lie or the truth, and you know what I'm saying? And like, either one, I don't want to know. Like, are they going to lie to me and say? I don't want to. It's so not necessary. And if you're back to this, if you're an intelligent, like intellectual person and on a deep level, spiritual level,
that shit doesn't matter.
You understand that, and you also understand that sex is a two person thing. So I can explain it to you 1,000 times. You're never, like how good sex was with someone that I had sex with. You're never going to know what it's like because it's between me and that person. Only us two are going to know. That's your thing. It's not between you and this other person in the past. He's never going to be able to know.
It's crazy. And
so why would you even ask?
I know. I don't know. I think it's very childish.
Mm-hmm. Like Becky, what you said too. It's just it's like weak, and it's real. Like Theo Von talks about it a lot because he was addicted to porn, and like he has like the blockers on his apps and all that stuff. Like even on the websites, he has the blockers and everything, and he doesn't watch it. But it's like that's why there's legit therapy, and there's all these things that you could do if you're like serious. It's like an actual real thing. Like people are actually really addicted to it, and it lowers. It's so negative. I don't know all the facts and science behind it, but it's so negative in so many different ways for male or female. And honestly, like I agree with you. Like even strip clubs, like I love when a guy is like, I have zero desire to go to a strip club. I don't care to spend money to get a boner, to not have sex, to like, I love it. I'm like, you get it, dude. Like, or guys that say, and like truly mean it. Like I didn't even ask, I'm not dating them. Like that will just generally voice like, fuck that. Like I'm not going there. I don't, you know, like they're not like, you know, they'll go if a group takes them or something. Like I wouldn't care, but I like when their mindset is like very, I would not spend money on that. I don't even like giving my money away. Like I prefer to be with one. Look at my lady. Like, you know what I mean? They have zero
because they don't.
Yeah,
because they're full in themselves that they don't need all the extra noise.
Yeah.
So it shows the confidence level of a man and how strong he is.
Yeah.
When he doesn't need all that bullshit.
There's so many different types of guys because then I'll hear it a lot at my job. People will go like, seriously, it's like blows my mind. Like people will say that they go at like 11 o'clock in the afternoon on like a Sunday.
They go where? Oh, wow. Strip club.
And then there's people that will just say they just do it like every Saturday, and that's like their thing. And like they just talk about it as if it's like going to the fucking coffee store to grab a coffee. Like, it's like so nonchalant. Like, to me, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna be too strict. Like, like one of those people, like, you can never go or never date you. But it's like, you know, because I'm confident in myself. And if I ever fucking felt like you were seriously that low to hook up with a stripper, why am I with you? Like, if you're just there, and I get it. Like, I've sat at a strip club. It's harmless at the end of the day. If you're not gonna go get a lap dance and like be going there so often that you literally get a connection with this person, because that's what happens is these guys, they get these deep connections, they feel bad, they feel bad. Like, most guys that keep going, they know the girls that they like, and they'll go on the days that she works there, and then they'll almost like feel good giving their money to this person who's, you know, in this field, you know.
I didn't know this in deep thing. Holy shit.
And they'll kind of want to take them out of that lifestyle. Like, that happens to a lot of strippers, especially strippers who are in like big cities. Like, that there's plenty of people who, I think, like, it happened to Cardi B, like, but she was also like talented in the sense of like music. But it's one of those things where some people will go just because they feel like they're paying for them to better their life, and then eventually they'll have a deeper relationship with them and say, like, you know, let me get you out of this lifestyle, like, come with me.
I did not know any of this.
That's like there's a lot of like real like stories about that. But want to hear mental illness?
I do want to fucking hear mental illness.
So funny, dude. My dad was showing me this yesterday. I stopped at his house for his birthday, and he goes, you gotta watch this shit. He loves YouTube. He watches YouTube 24/7. And it's legit on the news. This lady, I think it was North Carolina, she tried to take her son to the vet because he identified as a cat.
No fucking way.
And the guy, and literally in the video, she's like, you know, hysterical. And she's like, how can they deny my son because he has
your dad, I can only imagine. Because he has what?
Because he thinks that he's a cat, so he's a cat, and he's sick, and I take him to the vet because he's a cat, and they won't see him because of his anatomy or something, because they're saying that he's not a cat.
This never happened when your dad was growing up. This is all mental illness.
Dude, and the lady, like, mind you, she probably wasn't 40. Like, maybe, I don't know, I'm kind of getting bad with, like, looking at women's age. But, like, okay, first of all, that is scary. Like, what the fuck happened to you? If you're, like, mid-30s, 40, like, okay, so what time did you grow up? Like, you are before us, so that was like the fucking 90s. So like, this lady's brainwashed, fucking up her kid, because my dad goes, that's when you smack the kid in the back of the head. Like, and if anything,
and you fucking tell him that's fucking wrong.
How old is this kid, dude? That's insane. And there's
when
been
parents
so many
start to
cases.
Believe the kid gets to lead the life.
Yeah,
and the fucking parents like, oh, that's what you think. Okay,
and that's why these people
and they feed it instead of being like,
up.
No, that's wrong. This is right. They need strong moral value parents, and it's getting to the point where it's like everything's okay.
Yeah, it's insanity. Legit, that is crazy. I remember hearing, and it's not just one instance, because you think it's like, oh no, they literally was a whole walkout of a school. These kids, I was watching it. These kids there was a whole news channel like walkout. I forget what school it was. They walked out because the fucking furries were taking off over the school. Like, a bunch of kids in this school were saying they wore cattails and furry shit, and they were licking themselves. And if anyone didn't identify as a furry, they were like, they called them this name, like basically saying like anti-furry, whatever the word was. And they
Heidi,
wanted a litter box in the bathroom, and the smart kids walked out, and like when the news channel came, because they said that they were getting scratched and meowed at and like beat up essentially by these furries who were attacking them like animals, like on their forearm, like attacking them. And these kids walked out, and they were like, they'll literally hit us or hiss at us or like spit at us as if they're animals, and the school's not doing anything.
This is fucked up.
And the kids walked out, and I was like, these kids that are walked out, like, those are the parents that literally actually raise their kids. Like these kids, they were young.
I think it's nurture as well. No way is that fucking, you're not born with that shit.
No way. You can't. That's like a back in the day when we would all be like, I'm scene kid because I wear my hair with this. Like I never really said that too much because
we're not born
I
that
wasn't
way.
like emo really, but I would say like stupid shit. Like my friends would be like, me and Ashley would be like, she'd be like, I'm emo, and I'd be like, I'm this. Like we would just say stupid shit based on like what music we listened to and like how we did our hair that day. Like we would just play. It was like a play thing.
And then it became really serious and like fed into that. And
our parents would be like, you know, like, don't paint your nails. My dad would be like, don't paint your fucking fingernails black.
Yeah, my parents would be the same way. They'd be like, no.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, Juliet, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Or like, you're not getting your nose pierced.
If
or
I
like,
came
whatever.
home with if I asked to wear a fucking fur tail to school and said meow to my teachers and like dude, no way.
I literally, for the past like year or 2 years, I've been like, I'm homeschooling my children.
Wait, let me close my legs. I'm like this.